YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for episode 36 of Gozyuger, concluding the two-parter episode surrounding Kinjiro and the return of his old friend, literally, who also gets a wish to turn young, and it was a mixed bag like usual. I think I wound up enjoying this arc overall a little bit more once both episodes were out there. I think honestly for me, it's Gozyuger's delivery and the conflict with the games and stuff that kind of undercuts it all for me. Early on, I did appreciate, and still do appreciate to a degree, that you have unique setups with Gozyuger that goes away from the norm of Sentai's, very monotonous formula. But the games are just often so silly that when you do an episode where you're meant to be, for lack of better phrasing, taking it more seriously and wanting to be invested in the moment with the characters, it just kind of undercuts it all with the Gozyuger games and nonsense feels like a parody of a parody. So all the stuff going on surrounding the silliness, when we get to the card game, and the dancing was weird because him having to dance when he was in his older form was a nice moment because it's kind of like an endurance test for his older body, but it's just wrapped up in this silliness that really just, like I said, undercuts everything for me. But I did like the character stuff with Kinjiro, mainly because he's probably my favorite of the characters. I just find him generally to be likable, but I find him to be the most interesting. In fact, when we got to see his older form this week, along with his friend's older form, I thought that was a cool little beat that they both had to finish the competition in their older forms. We got to see his friend transform into Rearranger with his older form. I keep calling it their form. That's what we should call it all when we get older. That's our older form. This isn't even my final form. But I thought that was neat, and also reminded me that way back when we got introduced to Kinjiro, I was wondering if every now and then we might see his older form to remind us of what he's like there. I kind of wish we did see him more. I can't imagine we'd see him every episode, but if they had the older version of him in more episodes, I think that would be kind of neat. But I liked seeing that. It drove home the point of Kinjiro, which he doesn't want to be immortal like a vampire or something. He just wants to live in the moment and enjoy this youth and enjoy this life. And he was reminded, his friend of that when the friend thought back to when they were in war together. And he's like, well, we're in this terrible moment. How can you be so happy or whatever? And he's like, just enjoying the moment. So it was an overall nice character story for Kinjiro. I still feel like we didn't learn a ton about him. It still felt like a lot of Gozyuger's focus episodes where we're just kind of reiterating or reinforcing things we already knew, but it's probably the most I've enjoyed one of the more character-focused bits in a while. I felt the Horu one was when he got the power-up, oh, these are my friends, I have to go back for them, and I don't feel the bond between them, so I felt nothing. And Ryugi, again, it felt like he left and he's like, oh, I forgot my motivation, now I remembered it. So I really did like all the stuff involving that. I thought that was some strong stuff there. Obviously it was reason to give Kinjiro the power-up. This is very much a nitpick, but I wish that the sword was choosing them in their focus episodes. Kind of had how Horu had to earn it. Instead of it just being of course he's getting to use the power-up, it's his focus episode, I kind of wish each focus episode was building towards the sword choosing them as worthy to use it as well. But that's a minor nitpick. It doesn't look as good as it does on Blue because it doesn't flow as well, and I wish they all got unique helmets. And then at the end of the episode, you also have the final battle where we get this new mecha formation that has all of the different armors on them, which is neat, but I wish that would have been saved for an episode that was more about the team coming together or a build-up. I feel like we're in these set of episodes that are presumably going to be about each individual character getting the armor and just kind of, a filler episode for each one, for lack of better phrasing again. But I felt like that would have been a build-up, oh, this is the episode where the team truly unites or something, and it just felt like it was tacked on there. It's kind of a Fuster Cluck, but I do dig it because I don't know if you can use all the parts in the toy form, but I like that there's something where they can all be in the Megazord at one time, or at least in terms of the formation of building it. It's funny though because before they did that, I'm like, really, Horu's gonna do the mecha battle again? I'm not one to complain about red focus or whatever, but that stuff bothers me in terms of the marketing or whatever you would call it, of really, is Sentai in such jeopardy that if someone has a focus episode, they can't pilot the mecha, you gotta put Horu in it. He's not even in the costume. That kind of bothered me a little bit. And it's really weird also thinking about, these two episodes were kind of the Die Ranger tribute, Lupat. We had mostly the Universe Reds show up randomly, and sometimes even when they get focus, the more major character, it doesn't really tribute the series, but every now and then you get these weird ones that are a half tribute episode. And it's so weird because watching this, I was thinking how the tribute episodes or references in this series feel very Decade-esque because it's doing this homage and tribute to the series, but nobody from the series is there in a cameo, and also there's nothing really about the spirit of it that feels there for me personally. And also even though the context of the Red Warriors and the old Sentai is more prominent here than it is in Dawn Brothers, every time they use a Sentai power-up, it feels so much like Dawn Brothers. When Green was using a Kyoryuger summon, it's just this feels why are you even here? Why are they not acknowledging this more? It just feels so hollow and artificial. But Yeah, typical Gozyuger. We got a week off, thank God. You can tell how I feel about a series where I'm like relieved I don't have to watch it next week. I talked about maybe doing more sporadic coverage, but we'll see how I feel about next week's episode, whether I do more sporadic coverage of key episodes or not. We'll just see how good next week's episode is and if it's worth talking about. What did you think of the episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Dawson Ryder, signing out.